Hello everybody and welcome to patch 12.13. Everybody gets buffed edition. That's right, starting on this patch, everybody gets buffed. What do I mean by that? Well, let's scroll down. When we look at these patch highlights, you can see there are 2 nerfs and then everybody gets buffed. There's also 2 reworks. This is a patch that Riot is doing because after the durability update, you guys might have heard about that, fundamentally changed a lot of things. It's one of the largest patches for like a decade. That patch did a lot, and unfortunately a lot of champions ended up bad after that patch. So Riot is going through back to those champions and saying, maybe you shouldn't be absolutely worthless, Kled. Maybe someone should pick you for a reason other than they're trying to soft int their team without making it too obvious. Although, to be fair, it was kind of obvious if you did pick Kled, you were soft inting your team. So, without further ado, what we're going to do here, I'm going to go through the nerfs, then the buffs. Well, I'll go through whatever order they're in the patch up, but I'm going to do the adjustments later because I've gone through the Sivir and Gwen thing in a few takes I've tried of this video. And let me be honest, starting with the Sivir rework was not good because I just spent like 15 minutes on the Sivir rework, which was a very boring way to open the video, I've found. And it does need time to actually go through because the Sivir one is actually fairly substantial. So, let's go through the Everybody Gets Buffed edition. Now, if you agree or disagree with me on any of my takes here, be sure to just put it in the comments because honestly, go for it. When you guys argue in the comments, it benefits me. If you think I'm an idiot, go ahead, call me an idiot. I never remove those comments. You can call me an idiot so long as it's on these videos. On stream, it's a little bit more personal, but on these videos, go for it. You disagree with anything I'm saying. Let's talk about this. So, make sure to like the video too. Corki is stupid, and he's been stupid for a very long time. I'm gonna be completely blunt with you. I don't think Corki's been viable in the last 5 or 6 years, and I've ever thought to myself, yay, Corki is viable. Every build he has is some janky poking with missile barrage shenanigans where he just sits back, again, poking you with missile barrage, jumping in, one-shotting people if he hits like 2 auto attacks. It's just been really frustrating. This entire champion's design has just not really kept pace with modern League, and he feels just very, very lame to fight. So, unfortunately, there is a Luden's Echo build for Corki. Now, Luden's Echo is the mage item, where whenever you hit a spell, every 10 seconds, it will do bonus damage in an AoE. As you can imagine on Corki, with the ability to poke and land Luden's Echo from very far away, this made him extremely, extremely oppressive. So Riot is going through, they're trying to keep him at the same power level he is now, but like when they nerfed AP Kai'Sa, they want him to be far less oppressive. The AD ratio on Gatling Gun is going up from 0.10 to 0.15, which is actually a pretty large boost. However, the damage on his rockets is going down 10, 20 on the big ones, and the AP ratio is going down from 20 to 12. That means it's going down from 40 to 24, going down nearly half on his ultimate. This is again because Riot is trying to kill Luden's Echo Corki while kind of leaving him at about the same power level. In my opinion, he's obviously going to be less powerful here because you're reducing the base damage on his ult and the AP ratio. And let's be honest, the AP ratio on Gatling Gun is good, but it's not like he ever just sits there Gatling gunning people, right? Like he never just sits there going giga giga giga. Like he only needs 2 or 3 autos to kill most champions, and a lot of times anyway, I mean, I hope you get what I'm saying. Either way, Corki, they don't want Corki just sitting back, landing 2 or 3 rockets, killing you. Well, not killing you, but like bringing you to half HP because he just sat at 1500 range away from you, just basically throwing the dice and trying to, does this one hit? Does this one hit? Does this one hit? Oh, that hit. Oh, that hit again. Guess you have to back now. They don't like that build, and they don't like that playstyle, be it with Kai'Sa or be it with Corki. Elise. Okay. So Elise was kept extremely squishy because she could basically one-shot everyone. And now that the durability update has happened, she doesn't need to be squishy. So they're giving her more base health, they're giving her more health growth, and they're giving her more base armor. I actually find this pretty fair. Elise has always had, or at the very least, Riot has tried to push Elise to have more sustained damage than other assassins with her spiderlings, with her high attack speed. But they had to nerf her survivability into the ground. They had to nerf her sustained damage into the ground and all that stuff because she just had so much burst that it just felt like extra, unneeded. So going back and buffing her survivability is a good way to keep her more unique identity of having the spiderlings and being able to jump into melee and, you know, 5v1 you with her little spiderling buddies. This seems like a good buff, and she's definitely been underpowered. Additionally, the human form Q, that's where she goes. And, okay, that is going up by 20 damage at the max rank, which isn't like the most insane thing ever, but it's a little bit of damage, and then also way more, I shouldn't say way more, a good buff to survivability and a little buff to her damage. This should hopefully actually make Elise viable rather than being really bad. Evelyn! Okay, so Evelyn is another champion like Corky. Every time Evelyn is viable, my thoughts are, God damn it, Evelyn is viable. I hate this champion so much. She's so horribly designed. And Riot is actually just continuing to do that, just to be clear. They're just continuing to keep this horrible shit design going. Okay, let's go through this. They are, for some reason, I'm just gonna skip, because, okay, you know, I'm not gonna skip. This passive is actually fine. So instead of healing 15 to 75 a second, she will now heal 15 to 150 a second when she's stealthed. Now she will heal up to a certain amount based on how much ability power she has. After the durability update, I did notice that with the increased health pools, it didn't really feel like she was healing as much as she should. So I'm actually kind of fine with her getting more health per heal. Let's say more health per second from her heal. That's pretty much fine. The dumb thing here is, for some reason, Riot has decided 25 to 35% magic shred. Wow, Evelyn can kill full tanks from full HP. Not good enough. So they decided to buff it to 35 to 45% magic shred. 45%. Let me remind you guys, Trundle can shred up to 40% armor and magic resist on his ultimate. And that's like the reason to pick Trundle. The 40% shred. Evelyn's going to get up to 45%. Now, I don't care how hard it is to pull off. I don't care how late game it needs to be. No assassin should be one-shotting a tank, and no assassin should get their ability to one-shot a tank buffed. That's nonsense. And it's not really that hard to proc a lure against a tank. Let's just be blunt about this one. Tanks can't one-shot Evelyn. They can't burst her down. She can literally put up a lure, stand next to them, waiting to proc it. They could use every ability, and then she could just turn around, proc it, and one-shot them. This is a really bad change, Riot. This is a really, really bad change. This is awful. You should not do this. I said this like 2 weeks ago, you shouldn't do this. You're doing it, and now I still say you shouldn't do this. This heal is fine, whatever. In addition, she's getting some weird quirk on her ult, and this is what frustrates me, is because like they're giving her a smart buff here, but they're giving her this stupid buff here. Why not just work with the passive buff and the ult buff? So when she ults someone, she will now stealth after 1.25 seconds, which means she can ult and then get away in stealth really easily. So instead of the 4 seconds until stealth, normally, if she ults, it'll be 1.25 seconds. Now, taken as a whole, the ult buff and the passive buff, these would be fine. If she's in a bad situation, she can ult away, stealth, start healing up, try to get back into another fight. It's not like her ult is an echo ult. It's not on a low cooldown. She can't, you know, just chain ults like a late game echo could. I just don't understand, why do you do, like okay, fundamentally, like as me as a player, I don't understand why you do a smart buff here that's kind of like cool. You do a smart buff here, and then it's like you just throw in the towel and you're just like, and then let's just give her a 45% magic shred. That'll be good. Let's do it. Like, why would you do this? Like, why not try with this cool buff and this reasonable buff? Why not start with those? Why this? Why this? Okay, so Fiddlesticks, I actually disagree with what they're doing here. Once again, shockingly. Wow, yeah, okay. But, okay, the problem is I'm fun police. I feel like so often Riot doesn't have a fun police. And then they make changes and they make buffs and shit. but they do it in a way where you can clearly tell nobody's telling them to stop doing changes that aren't good for the game, which inevitably leads to shit like needing a durability update, because no one told them, no, you can't make champions just one-shot everyone because you hit 2 abilities, right? But anyway, so Fiddlesticks, after the durability update, is obviously doing much worse. How could they buff him? They could buff his survivability. They could make it so that if his drain is interrupted by CC, it doesn't go on full cooldown. They could increase the healing from his drain. They could increase the AP ratio on his E, maybe. You know, there's lots of things they could do here. But what do? His fear duration goes up. Oh boy. It's not the worst, but it is really frustrating. We have another 2.25 second CC in the game. I thought we agreed, Riot, that 2 seconds was going to be the new norm, and now we're back to 2.25. Why are we doing that, Riot? Why are we doing that? And then the worst change, in my opinion, is Crowstorm is just gaining 125 damage at all ranks and 25% AP. The solution, Riot, the solution to Fiddlesticks is underpowered when he can't one-shot everyone isn't, let's give him back the ability to start one-shotting people. That's not what you do, okay? You don't do that. You give him, and again, you give him things like if drain is interrupted, it does not put it on full cooldown. Maybe put it on like 30% cooldown, so it can actually potentially get back to a second drain. Because drain does like half its damage on the last tick. So if you interrupt it at all, you're making him have to do another drain, and drain doesn't do that much damage before the last tick. So just the fact that you put it on cooldown and cancel it, that's pretty good. But instead of doing that change, you're just more damage in CC. Do you see how someone like me this just is silly? And Galio. Okay, I disagree with this Galio change as well. We are just hitting every change I disagree with. Okay, so this Galio change. Okay, I need to show you guys this because I say this every time, and I feel like some people really need to put this together in their head. Galio's cooldowns are 12 to 10 on his main damage ability. Your average mage has 4 seconds on their main damage ability. He has 10. His shield endurance is 18 to 16, and his Justice Punch is 12 to 8. He has not a single spammable low cooldown ability. Not one. So obviously after the durability update, when he can no longer one-shot people, his excessively long cooldowns make him too weak. Now what does Riot do? Do they reduce his cooldowns so that he can function in an environment where he needs to actually be able to use a second damage rotation? No, of course they don't do that. They buff his damage on the little tornado, you know, the chun 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 chun. That thing gets his damage buffed. The AP ratio is going up and the base damage is going up. I do not know why, but that is what they're doing. So they're basically trying to say, oh no, Galio can't one-shot people because we decided one-shotting people was bad for the game. How are we gonna fix this? I know, let's buff his ability to one-shot people. Why? Like serious question, right? Why? Why not just make his Q? It's currently 12 to 10. Make it 12 to 8. Just give him a little bit of damage, or sorry, cooldown reduction on his Q. Would that be so bad? If it just had -2 seconds, you'd probably get the same overall buff as this change, but he would A, be more fun to play, and B, he wouldn't be as frustrating to play against, because you're just buffing his ability to once again go back to just activating Predator, running at you, going taunt into Q, into Justice Punch, into passive, and trying to one-shot you from full HP. Is that fun? Riot, do people really enjoy fighting that? I don't think so. So, you know, Gwen, I'll go over later. There's a bunch of stuff here that we need to do. Karthus. Okay, so the problem with Karthus is that after the durability update, he would often run up front into a team fight. And, you know, he would do Karthus stuff. He would run in, die, use a bunch of Qs, and ultimate. The problem is after the durability update, he would actually tend to not get kills. Whereas before, he could pop his ult and he could hit some Qs and maybe kill like 3 people, just sort of suicide bombing in. But nowadays, he runs in, kills nobody, everybody walks away from him, and that's the end of that. So they're giving him more base armor and they're increasing his health per level. That way, he can stay alive a bit longer. In my opinion, this is also a good change from Riot. Compared to these awful changes they did in the past, this one I actually think is good. Because it pushes Karthus to actually do more while alive, not just be a suicide kamikaze. You can say, oh, but that's his identity. It was a shit identity. And he still has it. He can still suicide kamikaze. He just needs to not suicide kamikaze as hard. Because he'll be tankier. He'll have more health, okay? So this means that if he plays intelligently, he can stay alive longer. Maybe he can actually beat someone in the 1v1 without having to trade his life away. So I think this is a good idea. Karthus has been a little bit underpowered, and I think this is a good idea overall. Kled, okay. 100%, despite the fact that I've been saying, oh, they shouldn't just buff everyone's damage, Kled needed his damage buffed. Kled's Q was one of the highest damage abilities back when he was released in like season 5. Since then, its damage has never been buffed. Everyone else has power creeped their damage. Kled, the only damage on Kled that's gone up is on his E. Now his E's damage has gone up a little bit, but that's literally it. He's never actually gained more damage. His damage is still back in season 5. And before you say anything, power creep is real and it has happened. If you play Kled, I guarantee you play him before this patch, and I promise you, your thoughts are going to be, how does anyone scale with this champion? And the answer is, well, they haven't been. Kled wins the laning phase, gets out of the laning phase, does absolutely nothing, and then is worthless and dies. So basically, Kled's AD ratio is going from a total of 1.8 if he pulls with this Q to a 1.95. Which is good. The base damage is not being touched, only the AD ratio. Tank Kled, if you build Sunfire Rush, that's not being buffed, but building actual damage is being buffed. I think this is a very good change for Kled. In addition, Violent Tendencies is getting its cooldown reduced again to 11 to 5. Now remember, this used to be 14 to 8, it would now be 11 to 5. Particularly at the later ranks, this means that he'll get back into a second W much easier, and in the early game, the downtime will be much shorter. I shouldn't say much shorter, but it'll be shorter, so he won't be at risk if he uses W on a minion wave or in a bad trade or anything like that. Overall, this is good for Kled. Obviously, they're buffs, right? Like, how could a buff be bad for Kled? But I think this is actually exactly what he needs, and I think this is definitely good. I play a lot of Aatrox, obviously, you guys might have noticed that, and if I play against Kled, I literally think I can beat him every time now. And if I do lose to him, I don't care, because I just outscale him every time anyway. I've had a Kled who got some lucky early game kills, got jungler, blah, blah, blah. He ends up like 6-0. And then he just loses the game anyway because it doesn't matter. He just doesn't scale. So the increased AD ratio on his Q is really good. The reduced cooldown is really good. Both of these are really good, and I think this is exactly what Kled needed. So this is good. These changes were good. Good. Master Yi is becoming overpowered. I don't know any way to describe this other than Master Yi is now overpowered. His attack range is going from 125 to 175. I want to read how Riot justifies this. Master Yi has always been a champ that is strong at lower levels of play, but not so great in the higher skill brackets. We're keeping our eyes on Yi after our last set of nerfs, and now feel like we can give him some power back in a way that helps reduce his skew. Since Yi is pretty dependent on being durable in higher brackets of play, we're giving him more ways to increase his survivability in fights. So let me go through what they're doing. His base attack range is going up by 50 from 125 to 175. That alone, gigantic buff. I guarantee that alone, he's overpowered at the low ranks now. Trust me, this is a significant change. But in addition to that, Alpha Strike now allows him to pick where he comes out after the Alpha Strike. No longer automatically behind. Now, that is probably a good change, because it means at the higher ranks, people can't just prepare perfect CC and perfect skill shots to always just auto-gib him after a Q. I think that's probably a good change. If they only did this change, I would be like, yeah, that's a really good change. But the attack range, in addition to this, and oh, I didn't even go over Meditate yet. Meditate's cooldown is going from 28 to 9. The mana cost is going down from 50, or I should say going up from 50 to 40 plus 6% total mana per second. So if he meditates too much, he'll just himself, is the gist here. The damage reduction is going from 60 to 70 to 90% for the first 0.5 seconds, and then reduced to the normal amount for the remaining of the channel. In addition to that, he keeps the damage reduction for 0.5 seconds after Meditate ends. I'm assuming if that's crowd control or him ending it or anything like that. So basically, if Master Yi sees a giant burst coming, he meditates, that's 90% damage reduction. If he gets CC'd out of Meditate, he continues to reduce damage for 0.5 seconds. The cooldown is substantially reduced. So the problem I have right here, Riot, and I think most people are going to agree with me on this, any one of these 3 changes would be a colossal buff to the champion. Doing all 3 at the same time is irresponsible. This is actually irresponsible. All 3 of these changes, I would be floored, okay? I leave the realm of possibility that somehow this ends up being balanced, okay? Somehow, I give you the benefit of a doubt, right? Maybe this ends up being balanced. I literally can't imagine how it would, but maybe it does. But here's my argument. There is literally no fucking way that this ends up being balanced. There is no way that these 3 changes all at the same time ends up anywhere other than Master Yi having a 53% win rate at the low ranks, up to like 51% at the high ranks. The problem is he's doing bad at the low ranks, but he's not unplayable. These buffs are if a champion is just dead ass unplayable. Now I do agree, at the high ranks he actually is unplayable right now. I do agree with that. At the high ranks he is 100% unplayable. But I do not understand, and I don't see how at the lower ranks you're controlling him. I think he's like 53% win rate at minimum. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. I literally, I can't imagine it. I just don't get it. Okay, so Olaf is getting utterly obliterated in top lane, and they're trying to buff him in jungle. They're trying to make him a jungler while destroying his top lane, which I don't understand. So his health regen flat is going down. His health regen growth is going down. His health regen at level 18 is going from 23.8 to 16.7. This might not seem like a substantial amount, but this will, I promise you, this will add up in top lane very hard. Where, in my opinion, I actually think he's a little bit underpowered in top lane right now. In the late game, this affects his Hullbreaker build considerably, because this amount of health regen that he's missing will make a lot less health regen on Hullbreaker. That's less healing between fights, that's less healing when he's on the split push, that's less healing if he kills his opponent and continues to split, you know, all that stuff. This is a very large nerf. His base attack speed is going from 40 to 100% on his passive to 60 to 100%. So that's a good buff, but then the mana cost on Undertow is going up from 40 to 60 to 50 to 70. So once again, Olaf is getting his late game nerfed for like the 4th patch in a row or some shit to get an early game buff to try to force him in the jungle. I don't know why, Riot, you are trying to force Olaf to be a jungler. No one played him at all before you did this mini rework, and then he finally found a home in top lane, and then you guys go, nah, fuck all that. Fuck that rework. I don't even know why we did it. Back to the jungle, Olaf. You're now an early game cheese champion again. It doesn't make sense to me, right? I struggle sometimes to read you, and in this particular situation, I can't read you. I don't know what you're doing, and why are you doing it? Okay, so Renekton's ultimate is gaining an AD ratio. That's literally it. That's it. That's literally all they're doing. His ultimate will now do 10% bonus AD per tick. Very insignificant. Early game, we're talking like is rank 1 ult making like leniently 6 to 7 damage, at most 8 per tick in the early game. But the thing is, they're nerfing its early game damage anyway. So early game Olaf, early game Renekton ult is going to be about the same. Mid game, we'll see a tiny little buff. So instead of being okay. Early game is seeing maybe the tiniest sliver of a buff. Mid game seeing a little bit of a buff. Late game is seeing a decent buff. But I'm gonna be honest, I just don't think this is what Renekton needs. And that's about it. I think Renekton is pretty goddamn far out of the meta right now. I think at like Grandmasters Plus, he's still playable, but that's not saying a lot. I mean, I'm trying to look at it right now. He is just so unbelievably far out of the meta, right? Like this does nothing. If his ultimate cooldown went from 120 to like 120 to 80, I think that would be a colossal good buff. But this, I was looking it up just because I wanted to see if I was crazy. He's the 43rd highest pick champion at Masters Plus. The 43rd highest, basically putting him out of the meta. I was wrong. He's basically out of the meta with a 49% win rate. I mean, I don't think I'm crazy. I'm looking at top lane pick rate. Did I look in the right? I did. Okay, I did actually accidentally sorted pick rate by the bottom. Okay, so he's still the 20th highest pick rate. I was right. He's barely playable the first time around. Ignore what I said. I didn't make a mistake. I just didn't do the right thing. Okay. 20th highest pick, 49% win rate. He's just not it. And I don't think this is it. Sue me if I'm wrong. Once again, I'm going to give this the benefit of a doubt. Like the Master Yi change, I'm going to give this a benefit of a doubt. This will probably raise him to 51% win rate. But I think if his pick rate goes up, then his win rate won't go up anyway. Yeah. Also, it does kind of annoy me that his ultimate would now go up 30 damage and then 25. Just a small little annoyance. Okay, Taliyah got nerfed really hard. And because she was like one of the most broken champions in all League of Legends history. And I shit you not, those are like her actual numbers. Taliyah was one of the most broken champions in all League of Legends history after her rework. And so they nerfed everything about the champion. They literally went through and they're like, nerf. So they're going back and they're giving her a little bit of her damage on her Q. That's about it. That's literally it. They're giving her back some damage on her Q, reducing the mana cost. Yeah. I don't think Taliyah's unplayable right now, but I do think she could use a little bit of a help. And this is a little bit of a help. A little bit lower mana cost and a little bit more damage. I think that's fine, in all honesty. I think that's fine. And I think Taliyah, I don't think she's unplayable. I just think she's a little bit underpowered. So this is actually a good tuning from Riot. They're just little bit of a tune-up. They're just, oh, she ended up a little bit too weak. So it's just little bit of a tune-up. Nothing really major is going to be changing with Taliyah. So as for Vex, okay, so I actually 100% agree with this. Vex is one of the few champions. I think if you have healing right now, Vex can't kill you. She was balanced around being able to one-shot people and not have to deal with them shielding or healing or anything like that. With the durability update, she could no longer literally just one-shot everyone, which meant that she now needed to deal with healing and shielding, and it quickly became obvious that her sustained damage was absolute dog shit, and she had no way to deal with healing and shielding. So the AP ratio on her Q is going up and the cooldown on her Q is going down. She'll be able to Q more for more damage. I think that's fine, and I think that's actually a good thing. This will allow her to actually deal with champions that heal more often. And it's just overall a good thing. It's just, she was undertuned because she could one-shot in before the durability update. Now that the durability update happened, she doesn't need her damage way undertuned for the durability update. Or I should say for the one-shot meta. You know what I mean? Volibear. Okay, Volibear is getting obliterated, and I can't say I entirely disagree with this. Let me pull these stats up for you guys. Okay, so Volibear Jungle, and this is at Plat Plus. Volibear Jungle is at a 54% win rate. At all ranks, Volibear Jungle is at a 54% win rate. At Masters Plus, Volibear Jungle is at a 53% win rate with the highest win rate overall. In other words, Volibear is insanely overpowered at every single rank. Now, I do think they're nerfing him a little bit too hard. I do think they're nerfing him a little bit too hard. And in particular, I think it's pretty obvious that his tank build is what's overpowered. So I actually think what they should have done, the health ratio on his W, I think they should have hit this one really hard. Instead of 6%, I think they should have considered nerfing this all the way down to like 3%. Instead of doing that, they're nerfing the movement speed on his Q again. It'll be only a mere 16% movement speed toward enemies at rank 1, which is absurdly low, practically unnoticeable. The damage on his Q is going down by 10 flat. The damage on his W is going down by 5 flat, and the health ratio is going from 6 to 5%. And the damage on his Sky Splitter, his E, is going down by 2% health. So instead of 11 to 15% health, it'll do 9 to 13% health. So his E's getting his damage nerfed pretty hard, his W's getting his damage nerfed, and his Q's getting his damage nerfed, and his movement speed is going down. I think this will probably over nerf him, and again, in my opinion, Tank Volibear was blatantly by far the best Volibear build, and I think in order to try to keep the other builds somewhat playable, what they should have done is targeted this health ratio. This health ratio has turned into a very large issue. His good base damage in addition with the health ratio just led to Tank Volibear being extremely difficult to kill and just overall doing way too much damage for how tanky he was. So I think this 6% should have become a 3%. That would still be 4.5% if he crit his W, which isn't amazing, but it's enough to give Tank Volibear, a decent amount of sustained damage. And I think you should not have nerfed the movement speed on his Q at all. I think nerfing the movement speed on his Q is probably going to kill this champion. That's my opinion. I think he'll actually be killed. As overpowered as he is now, my guesstimation is he'll be like at a 48, 49% win rate, maybe, which isn't good considering he's, one of the easier champions. Easy champions typically have 51% win rate anyway. So, yeah. Okay, so now let's go through the reworks. Okay. Oh god, I tried so many times to explain the Sivir rework in other takes I did of this video, and I swear to god, it is so hard to explain the Sivir rework. It is actually legitimately hard, but I have practice. So without spending 50 minutes on this, let's go through it. Right now, Sivir builds lethality. She's only really good at lethality. She can't really build crit. She can't really build attack speed. Okay? So what Riot is doing is they're trying to push crit and attack speed on Sivir. They're shuffling around her base numbers a little bit. The big thing here is she's going to have less mana. Trying to go through this. What are they doing to kill the lethality build? Her Q will have a significant reduction to its base damage. Her ultimate will no longer give the burst of movement speed, but only give the flat movement speed over its duration. Those are the two big nerfs to try to kill her Q, lethality, Dark Harvest one-shot build. It wasn't even that good. They just didn't want it to be a thing anymore, and they wanted crit and attack speed to work. So how are they buffing crit and attack speed on her to actually make that work? Her passive now gives more movement speed, but it decays rapidly. Meaning, if she has attack speed and she continuously applies the first little bit of it before it decays, if she keeps refreshing it and keeps getting the high movement speed, she will get way more movement speed than she does now. But the less she attacks, the less movement speed she's going to get. So more attack speed is good. Following the attack speed front, her Q will now have its cast time scaled down with attack speed. The last thing to make, well, I should say actually the two more things to make attack speed better are her Ricochet. Instead of buffing for 3 attacks, now just buffs for 4 seconds flat. Her Ricochet, she can now ricochet as many times as she can during 4 seconds. More attack speed is more ricochets. Addition to that, her On the Hunt now, while this is active, it refreshes its duration on any takedown, on any kill. And while it's active, she now gets 0.5 seconds of her basic abilities cooldown reduced whenever she auto attacks someone. Now, that's quite strong, reducing the cooldown on her basic abilities. This makes her ultimate more like a Master Yi or an Aatrox ultimate, where it's more of like a big boost and you want to keep it up and combo kill and kill people, etc., right? So that's more what they're going for. So her attack speed is going to be way more useful on her. How are they making crit more useful on her? Her Q will now get bonus damage based on your crit chance. If you have a 100% crit chance, her Q will get 50% more damage. However, the Q base damage is going down. If you build the full 100% crit, your Q will do more damage. If you build no crit, your Q will do considerably less damage. The Q cooldown is also going up at all ranks, but at rank 1, it is going considerably up. The missile speed on her Q is being changed. When she yeets it out, it'll be faster. When it pulls in, it'll be slower. Meaning actually hitting people at the ideal range will be easier, but just sort of getting the double hit on people who are actually like at mid-range or short range will be significantly harder. Overall, a damage nerf on her Q for the majority of the game, a cooldown nerf unless you're whacking people with your ultimate auto attacks. Now, Ricochet, I told you guys that it lasts 4 seconds instead of 3 attacks. Now, the big thing here is that it now can bounce 8 times, and if it ever is in a position where it's bouncing and it's already hit everyone, it can now go back and hit targets that it's already hit before. In other words, if you have 2 champions right next to each other and Sivir throws a Ricochet at them, it will now bounce between those 2 up to 8 times, which is significant. Its damage has gone down from 30 to 90 to 30 to 50, so nearly half the amount of damage at high rank. But if she is ricocheting and building a lot of attack speed and ricocheting into a team fight, she can get a lot of damage on a lot of champions. In addition to that, she now gets the movement speed from, she now gets the attack speed on her Ricochet from Ricochet instead of her ultimate. So she doesn't need to wait until level 6 to get attack speed on Ricochet. She now gets that attack speed whenever she ranks up and uses Ricochet, which is a buff to her early game all-in power. But obviously a large nerf to her Boomerang Blade, which will hurt her all-in power pretty considerably. Spell Shield no longer gives mana. So the mana cost on her W went down, the mana cost on her Q went down, her base mana went down, and Spell Shield no longer gives mana. The idea here is you shouldn't be forced to block things with Spell Shield. You shouldn't be forced to do that just to be able to use your abilities more than like twice. However, her W now heals her for a pretty decent chunk. Not amazing, but actually a pretty decent chunk. Her her Spell Shield now heals her if she blocks something. So the general idea here is Sivir is going to be more of an attack speed crit carry. They want her with On the Hunt, running around fast, throwing a lot of ricochets, reducing the cooldown on her abilities really hard, throwing more Qs out with potentially no cast time, It goes down to 0 seconds if you build enough attack speed. So her boomerang blade can potentially have no cast time. She can potentially run up, start ricocheting between people, reduce her cooldowns, back into another ricochet while she throws out a Q, then she throws out a Q, then she throws out a Q, all while she's getting more spell shields to heal. Is this overpowered? I mean, I'm gonna be dead honest, this does seem pretty overpowered. But I like it conceptually because it does give Sivir a niche, like a job, like her role. Right? It brings her back to being more of that ricochet kind of carry champion, and it brings her away from just being throw Q on cooldown, do mega damage, build lethality to try to, you know, two-shot people with 2 boomerangs from far away, right? Like it's what I was talking about with Corky. Riot doesn't like it when AD carries take their kit, and instead of playing like an AD carry, they just end up playing them like a poke mage. So overall, here's my opinion. I think Sivir will be overpowered. I think Sivir will 100% be overpowered. But I think it's a good idea. I don't know how overpowered she'll be. I don't think she's really going to be that overpowered, but I definitely think she's going to get a nerf. The big thing, though, is the very, very, very large nerf to her early game through obliterating her boomerang blade. I do think that this might do more. I'm not really sure. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can guesstimate. I guesstimate her early game is going to be a bit harder to play because her boomerang blade will end up doing less damage. A good chunk less damage with longer cooldown. But I think overall her mid game should be way stronger. And she'll make up to it. The only reason she wouldn't end up overpowered is if her early game ends up being so weak that she can never really hit her power spike and she just sort of gets murdered every laning phase. That would be the only reason, in my opinion, she would end up underpowered. Okay, so now let's go to Gwen. Riot is trying to fix Gwen so that she's less of a pro play auto pick and more of a solo queue champion. I'm gonna give you a hint. I'm not sure they've achieved that goal, but they're trying and just not really trying that hard, if I'm going to be honest. So her health regen growth, that's how much health regen she gains per level, is going up, which is odd, but okay. Her passive damage against monsters is going down again, this time by another large chunk. Her passive will basically, it'll hurt monsters, but like barely after this. Her Q damage is going up, but instead of doing 100% true damage in the middle, it will now do 75% true damage in the middle. The Q will now execute minions below 20% health, but do less damage to them above 20% health. Which I had to read this like 3 times, and I had to read it even now, just to like, it like mentally doesn't click for me. But yeah, so her Q will deal more damage, but less true damage. A good chunk more damage too. It's a thing. I'm not 100% on this. Like I know they want her to do less true damage, but like she's just gonna end up doing way more damage. So I'm not really sure where they're going with this one. Her W will get more armor and MR, and will have a higher AP ratio for that armor and MR, but the duration is going from 5 to 4. Once again, I'm not like 100% on this one, because particularly the ability to kill people goes up with this. Yeah, I'll just keep reading through the changes. Her E is gaining 75 bonus range instead of 50. So her range when she's in her E will go from 200 to 225, and she spends most of her time with her E bonus range. So she's going to 225 range, which outranges basically every melee champion again, which yeah, okay. The bonus magic damage on hit from her E is going from 10 to 15 with a higher AP ratio, so even more damage, which yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what they're doing with this one, but yeah. The cooldown is going up at the later ranks, but the refund if you hit something is going way up. Now, just to run some numbers by you, the cooldown at rank 1 will be 9.75. whereas it used to be 6.5. So the cooldown at rank 1 is going up by like 50% on her E. So that's a very large laning phase nerf. The cooldown at rank 5 is going to 3.85, whereas it was 4.5. So at rank 5, her E will have a much lower cooldown by nearly a second. So early game nerf, but more damage, but more range. Late game buff. Late game super buff on top of that. Like with more range and more on hit damage and more AP ratio and lower cooldown in the late game, Gwen will be way stronger in the late game. As her ultimate damage is also going up again. And instead of recasting it immediately upon damaging an opposing champion, it will now recast every 1 second. My take on these changes. This is really not a good idea. Once again, she's getting more damage on her Q, more damage on her E, more damage on her ultimate. Look, I know her E is getting nerfed. Its cooldown is going like way up in the early game, and that's really bad. But the bonus range in combination with the bonus damage on her E leads me to believe that we're going to be doing that bullshit where Gwen just sort of starts like Eing into you at level 1 and then just snip, 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 snip. Like that's kind of why her shit got nerfed. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. Every time Riot touches Gwen, she's broken. Every time, like Riot just like fucking touches her. They just go tip and Gwen's like, fucking 100% pick ban and pro play, 55% win rate. Just dominating, highest pick, highest ban champion in top lane. And then Riot like quick like fucking destroys her with nerfs, to which she still ends up viable in pro play, but then it's not viable in solo queue. I don't know. I don't like this champion. I don't trust her. Every time they touch her, she's broken. That's my opinion. Anyway, let's look at itemization changes. Okay, so Divine Sunderer is finally getting a very large update. Instead of its damage being based purely on the opponent's health damage, it will now be based on 125% of your AD plus 6% of their health. So instead of 12%, 6%, but they also get 125% of their base AD. So champions with higher base AD, like Jax, will do, I think they're actually getting it buffed a little bit, I'm not really sure. Champions with lower base AD, like Wukong, are getting a little bit of a nerf. The heal is going from 50% of pre-mitigation damage to 65%. Really? Of pre-mitigation damage. That, what? Okay, so Riot, that doesn't mathematically check out. The numbers they're put 65 if you have 125 bonus AD and you times that by 65, right? That's 81.25% damage. You're listing it as 100% base damage. 65% of 125 is 81.25, not 100%. Did they write this wrong? Wait, or is it 65% of pre-mitigation damage and then another 100% base AD on top of that? I literally don't understand what they're doing. I feel like there has to be some typo here or something. Surely they're not giving this item 4.8% of the target's health and then 100% of your base AD in healing, right? Surely they're not doing that. That would be a lot. The Mythic passive, though, is being nerfed. Instead of 5% armor and magic pen, it's 3% armor and magic pen, which is good. Holy shit. The amount of people who didn't understand that even with Trinity Force's attack speed, even with Trinity Force having the on-hit damage, the amount of people who didn't understand that Divine Sunderer still outdamaged Trinity Force come late game. So Divine Sunder was better on the rush for the 1v1, and purely in damage, Divine Sunder outdamaged Trinity Force in the late game. So Divine Sunder literally irrelevented Trinity Force, and there's no argument you can make. So nerfing this mythic passive is actually the big aspect here. It means you can no longer go Divine Sunderer and then no armor pen and then outdamage 90% of champions, even though you went with a healing item. Now, this makes this item significantly weaker into tanks. Instead of 12% health, it's 6%. Instead of 5% armor and magic pen stacking, it's 3% stacking. This is good. This is really good. I'm not sure these numbers are reasonable, but the overall idea is really, 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 really good for everyone. Everyone should be happy that this shit is happening, because this item basically made tanks so difficult to play, made them so unfun. Yeah, that's really what I have to say. This is just a really good change. Much weaker into tanks, stronger otherwise. Good change, really good change. Deals with its primary balance issue as well. The fact that 5% armor and magic pen stacking ended up being way too good. Demonic Embrace. Okay. So Demonic Embrace and Leandries will now stack if multiple people buy them. So if 2 people on your team go Leandries, they now can both apply the Leandries dot. While that might sound really painful, I actually think that's fine. There might be a couple areas where this could get broken, but I feel like overall it's fine. Because like, if me building Leandries is balanced, then me and my teammate building Leandries should still be balanced, right? I mean, the fact that if one player went Leandries, the other had to go a subpar item was really bad for the game. And particularly with Demonic Embrace, like, if you had a Swain mid, Mordekaiser top, only one of them could go Demonic Embrace. That just felt weird and unneeded. Okay. So let's get to the really shitty part of this video. Riot is buffing all lethality items. They will now all gain 5 movement speed. They will now all gain 5 movement speed on the mythic passive. So basically the class overall is just a tad weaker than we'd like. No, actually I totally disagree with this, and I've shown the numbers again and again and again and again and again. I'm literally exhausted of showing these numbers and showing how many different ways I can show you that no, assassins are not underperforming. Let's be blunt, as I always am, okay? There's only like 5 lethality champions in the game, and not a single one of them is doing poorly right now. And in fact, several of them are still overpowered. Okay? So, this is stupid. Oh, there's actually a change here for objective bounties. When we create, I didn't see this. I literally didn't see this. I thought I scrolled through the entire batch. Okay, I need to read this. When we created objective bounties, the intention was for teams that are behind to be able to catch up in a difficult but not impossible way. However, when teams that are only a little behind claim multiple bounties, they catapulted into the lead. We're hoping these changes make claiming bounties as the lead starts closing more fair to both teams. Bounty lingering duration, 5 to 60. New, get cash now. Bounties will start to fall off a little earlier when losing team reduces the lead. Claiming an objective bounty as bounties are lingering now cancels all other objective bounties on the map. Okay, so you can no longer get in rapid succession. You can no longer get like a dragon into a turret and then like claim 2 bounties right after winning a team fight, and then all of a sudden the gold lead is just gone because you lost a single fight. If you take one objective bounty and you catch up with that objective bounty, all the others are instantly turned off. Champions with gold, accumulating passives such as Draven or Gangplank and Ricochet. Oh! Well, what? What? So Draven, Gangplank, and Twisted Fate were counting as team gold and therefore giving the opposing team objective bounties. But Riot, I do have a question for you. You are aware, and let me show you this just to show you this. Draven is doing good. Gangplank is still here. Don't mind his win rate. Gangplank always a low win rate. Massive pick rate, still a high ban rate. Gangplank is really frustrating. Twisted Fate, yeah, Twisted Fate fucking sucks right now. I'm gonna be dead honest. Twisted Fate. This champion is normally balanced like 51-52% win rate. He's got a 50% low pick rate and Masters Plus where he's supposed to be doing good. Fucking sucks. Yeah, this is actually overall a fair change and I agree with it. Rapidly getting like 2 or 3 objective bounties just sort of shit on the game. And it was kind of rare because you only had a 5-second window to do it. But if you ever did, it just kind of sucked. It was just like, oh well, they just got like an additional 1,000 gold. Oh well. Currently, if you dash or blink, that one's pretty pointless. Game modes. That's Ultimate Spellbook update. This is some transferring MMR fuckery that they're trying to. It's not really important for 99.99999% of the player base. Bug fixes. Kale now slightly increases in size when she reaches level 11. Okay. Velvet is now slightly smaller while in her true form. Okay. Okay. Gore Drinker's healing tracker now tracks healing from all targets hit, not just once per cast. Yeah, that one's generally a good idea. Black Cleaver now displays bonus damage caused by its Armor Shred passive. That is going to be very interesting, actually. That will be very interesting to keep track of. Umbral Glaive now destroys the number of wards killed while you have the item. Great, we can see just how broken it still is. Bug fixes. I'm just gonna quick read through these. Pixels are panels, queue length and width are incorrectly referred. Okay, I feel like that should actually be in the patch notes. Pantheon's queue was supposed to be longer, but less wide. And the idea was that he could poke better, and somehow they just literally reverted it. And I feel like that should actually be in the... That shouldn't be here, Riot. That should be on the Pantheon champion. That needs to be on Pantheon. That should not be here, Riot. Doesn't really seem to be any important things here. I mean, fixed bug where Maokai's sapling toss. Saplings would do damage through spell shields. Yeah, that one's kind of important. Shaco's hallucinate clone can now proc Lichbane. Yeah, that one's pretty good. They're fixing the Gore Drinker healing tracker a second time. Gore Drinker healing tracker is fixed here, and Gore Drinker's healing tracker is fixed here. If this healing tracker is not fixed, Riot, I'm gonna be dead honest. I'm gonna make fun of you. I'm gonna make fun of you a lot, okay? Just be prepared for that. I will give you a verbal taunting. There's a lot of bug fixes here. Oh, cool. So they're fixing the Hullbreaker thing, which apparently wasn't a bug. Or sorry, was a bug. Hullbreaker's resistances will now decay after 3 seconds instead of decaying instantly, which was introduced to the game like 5 months ago. Jesus, 6 months ago? It was a long time ago. And then they just never fixed it. And I just kind of assumed they were stealth nerfing Hullbreaker into the ground. And Hullbreaker has basically disappeared from the meta. So I guess they're bringing it back where the resistances decay rather than just instantly disappearing. Yeah. That one's kind of big. Yeah, that one's kind of a big one. I don't think there's anything here. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Fixed a bug where Gore Drinker's healing tracker would be lower than intended when hitting more than one champion. Right, if Gore Drinker is not fixed after this, I will seriously make a goddamn video making fun of you. I swear, the entire video is just gonna be going, ha ha, ha ha. It's just gonna be, I swear, I will literally make it 8 minutes just so I can put fucking ads on it, okay? I will literally just sit here and laugh at you for 8 minutes if this shit is not fixed. Okay, let's go on to skins. Star Guardian Echo. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Look, normally I would spend a lot of time on skins, but I'm sure all of you have looked at Star Guardian skins so much at this point because it's like one of the most popular events ever. They had a literal in-person event, so I don't think it's really worth spending that much time on that one. It looks, I'm gonna be honest, not. Star Guardian Kaisa, yeah, that one looks cool. Yeah. Okay, Star Guardian Nyla, I don't like it. It just looks generic. I don't know how one Star Guardian looks good and one looks generic, but this one is like a flow to it, and then this one just feels like put Nyla in Star Guardian, and they're just like, there's Nyla Star Guardian. Okay, I'm not really sure what to say. Here we have Star Guardian Sona. You know they actually increased her boob size after people complained. I shit you not, they made her boobs bigger. Yeah. Yeah. The glasses are kind of cute, I guess. So this is Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is the bad guy. He fights the Star Guardians. In my opinion, I'm gonna be dead honest, it actually does look good in game. I'll see it again here in a second. Let me close my camera here. Prestige Star Guardian Echo. That's Star Guardian Echo, but Prestige. There was a Star Guardian Morgana I saw in the video, but they might be splitting the Star Guardian over 2 patches, but why would they? Star Guardian Morgana. Did I say Echo? Morgana. So we have Kaisa. Like, look, it actually looks good. Like, and that's why I kind of dismissed the Nyla one. Like, the Kaisa one actually legitimately looks good, right? And then, like, the Nyla one, it literally doesn't fit. It doesn't. It's not right. It literally feels like they were just like, Star Guardian Nyla, the new champion, needs to be in Star Guardian. She must be. It'll sell skins. Trust us. Echo, this just doesn't do it for me, man. Star Guardian Sona, yeah, she looks cute. I don't think anyone would argue about that. Plus, I mean, purple. I love purple. What else we got here? And then Star Nemesis Fiddlesticks. See, I actually think this one looks good. I know a lot of people are complaining and a lot of people like it. There seems to be like a civil war on whether or not it looks good. I'm tossing in my opinion here. I actually think this looks good. I actually do. I think this looks really good. So, without further ado then, we're going to go through my Patreon supporters because you guys should really, really consider supporting me on Patreon. Why should you consider supporting me on Patreon? Well, my good chatting chatters, because Hashinshin gets DMCA'd all the goddamn time. I did a 16-hour stream yesterday, and it got DMCA'd 3 different times by false claims. That means I literally didn't make a single penny for 16 hours of streaming. Nah, I shit you not, that's true. So go to the description in the link, please. Actually, for $3, you can support me on Patreon. Message me, ask any question. We answer, we do shit on Patreon. You guys want to know anything? Patreon. So, I'm going to read off my Patreon supporters. Okay, everybody? Cool. So, Patreon supporters. What do we got here? We have me being really bad and not having this already launched and ready to read, but we will soon. Patreon supporters, let's read them off. And remember, these guys are awesome. From top to bottom, thank you, Ezekiel Cuarez, Monica, T the Fish, 3 and a Hook, Amy Rue, Enthai, Pleasant Christoph Marks, Crash Pinho, Guinea Shelbert, Greg RR, Horace the Burb God, Joseph Stalin, Josiah Davila, Kokirli, Malice, Mao Runner, Nortgran, Noxian Scion, Omar Nunez, Philemon Landry, Quill of Anguish, Sophie, Sophisticated Fart, Destroy, Used Car Salesman, Andriano MDE, M. Zareen, Ben again, Ben G, British Mapper, Calum Niche, Creador, Dangda, Daniel Fiala, Daniel Huertes, Daisy Mew, Devin Gill, Yadgod, Eric Pettinelli, Fell, Fanaku, Full Yuki, Hentai with Senpai, Hyun Arthur, Justicier, Kalphos Zeromar, Kujibai, Naptroll, Ludwig III, Manuel, Metal M. Morgan, Negative KDA, Orihalkanite, Oz, PKZ, RH, Scorpion, Spook, Stickbird 34, Suki 02, Tenchi Kanashisa, Terra. Man, I'm always getting paranoid with some of these names because I feel like y'all are just gonna make me say like slurs in a different language. Tomato, Uvo Plaja, Villain, WLC League of Legend, Wolfhound Kin, Wolfman, Yan Shu Chi, Adam Golding, Ching Ming Vang. Thank you all of you. Special shout out as well to my YouTube members. You guys are awesome and I appreciate you guys every day. If all you do is watch this video, give it a like, leave me a comment, and give me your thoughts. If all you do is that, I still appreciate you a lot. You're extremely helpful. Thank you, everybody, and I hope everyone here has a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody. And by the way, for the music, once again, this was Session Star Guardian Talia. So if you thought this was good or bad, it's their new free DMCA list. So there you go. Bye-bye, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day.